Hi, my name is Valeska. I'm a PhD student in the Planning, Governance, and Globalization program in the School of Public and International Affairs at Virginia Tech. The topic for this presentation is an introduction to power dynamics. Our objective is for you to have a basic understanding of the terms power and power dynamics and how these terms can be connected to international research programs. The term power is an important concept, not only in politics or business where you may hear them a lot, but in all human relations, no matter the context where we find ourselves. It is a central concept to any understanding of society. If there are people involved in a relationship, there is always going to be power involved. The amount of power and the influence it produces is going to depend on the context and the positionality of each of the people involved. So, to start, there are some important concepts that are essential to help you understand what power is and how it works. Everything has a certain way of how things are done. The third concept is power. This refers to the capacity to exercise control over others, deciding what is best for them, deciding who will have access to or denial from resources. And lastly, privilege. Privilege is a special benefit or advantage. And these are connected, power and privilege, because in general, the people that has the most privilege in a relationship, they will exercise also the most power. These concepts and knowing what they mean and how they influence each other help us to have a better understanding of how the world works and why people act the way they act. This will help us to be aware of what is the role or the different roles that everyone has. And if at some point we find ourselves in a place of authority, we need to be respectful, have empathy, be aware of our responsibilities, and to always keep in mind that we will be accountable for our behavior. And now is where power dynamics come into the picture. Power dynamics refer to the complex interplay of power between individuals or groups within a given context, and it describes how influence and authority are distributed and exercised, and all the impacts that these interactions and behaviors have in the people that is involved in that relationship, in that organization. So it can be seen in various situations like workplaces, relationships, social hierarchies, where factors like formal position, knowledge, social status, or personal charisma contribute to an individual's power within that dynamic. So in general, it refers to the structures and authorities that exist in places and the amount of power that they have. So in the classroom, there is a certain structure. At the university level, also, we have the president, the vice president and provost, the board of visitors, etc. Even in our homes, there is a structure. In relation to this, to the international research project, we have the PI of the project, the PhD student or students that are leading the group, the host at the visiting country. So there are different people involved in every research project, and they have different roles and different responsibilities. And this creates a different power dynamic. how everything is going to be moved, who is going to take the decisions, who needs to comply with those decisions, etc. Some key points about power dynamics that we need to keep in mind are the following. First, the distribution of power. How power is distributed among individuals or groups, highlighting who has more influence or control over decisions and actions. Second, the sources of power. Power can stem from various sources like formal authority, your job title, expertise, your personal charisma, social capital, economic resources, or even gender and race dynamics. Everything has some effect, some impact in how the relationship is evolving. So this can cause, this can, the source of power can be because they represent an institution, they represent a group or organization, but also because the role they exercise. Their identities have always something to do, and consequently, the privileges that they have. Another key point is the impact on interactions. It is important to understand the power dynamics because this influences how people communicate with each other, how they behave, and how they respond to each other within a given situation. And the positive and negative implications of power dynamics are important. As everything in life, everything has something positive and negative at the same time. So this can cause power imbalances between those involved in a specific social interaction. And these power imbalances can lead to misunderstandings, to feelings of being treated unfairly, to frictions, and to lack of trust. While these organizational structures that form these power dynamics are necessary in our society, in every organization, these power dynamics can lead to issues like exploitation, manipulation, or conflict when power imbalances are significant. This is why um, doing a self-reflection before you start your research project and analyzing your positionality is important, because in advance you can find out what are the possible problems like exploitation or manipulation that can be produced within a research project, or which conflict can come in the future. And now you ask, why is this important for an international research program? Why these power dynamics have something to do with an international research program? And these are good questions, and sometimes it's hard to make connections. Even though you understand how power works, it is hard to make connections with something, as big as an international project. So even though power dynamics are everywhere, as we've seen, if we are more critical and more analytical of where you are and what you see, you will recognize these power dynamics. This is why I say that it's important to be aware of your personality and who will be the people or groups that will be involved in a research project. You should identify the different factors that contribute to power imbalances between students and local communities, including issues of race, class, gender, nationality, and access to resources. Then, after you have identified these elements, you can analyze how these dynamics play out in interactions with hosts, teachers, peers, while emphasizing the importance of critical reflection, cultural sensitivity, and active engagement to navigate these imbalances constructively. There are some tools or strategies that will help you analyze power dynamics. So we can practice this before we start a new research project. First is economic disparity. It is important to discuss the economic status of students compared to the local population where we are going to um, practice or lead a research project, because this can create power imbalances. Cultural differences. We need to analyze how cultural norms and expectations can influence interactions and power dynamics. Language barriers. We need to highlight the challenges faced by students with limited language skills in navigating social situations in the country we are visiting. Institutional power. We need to examine the power held by the international research program and the universities representing the host institutions and program leaders. In relation to gender and sexuality, we need to discuss how gender norms and LGBTQ plus issues can impact power dynamics in a new cultural context. Some ideas to keep in mind are: first, respect. It is important in all interactions to have always respect for all the people that is involved. However, respect can mean different things to different people. Remember that culture is an important part of every person. So in different countries, respect can be a little bit different. So it's always important to discuss this. Second, every person has valuable knowledge. An international research program where students are involved is an exchange of knowledge between all people. Everyone is going to have a different role, but everyone has some knowledge. And it's important that we are open to learn from everybody. Um, Critical self-reflection. We need to critically examine our own biases and privileges to navigate interactions with sensitivity. Fourth, cultural sensitivity or cultural awareness is always important. We need to learn about the culture of the country we are visiting and accept that there are going to be differences, that we're going to find other cultural and social identities. There are different rules. And last, active listening and respectful communication. We need to actively listen to local perspectives and communicate openly with hosts and peers. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you learned something at the end of this presentation and that this contributes positively to your lives. Um, Thank you and have a great trip to Chile.